For centuries, the ocean has haunted our imagination, and even now, most of it remains unseen. But what if the monsters we dismissed as legend weren't myths at all? In this video, we'll discover 29 of the most extraordinary sea creatures ever recorded, the ultimate compilation of every deep sea legend we've uncovered on this channel so far. By the end, you'll see why some myths refuse to die. The first creature said to inspire genuine fear is Cthulhu. In the far reaches of the Pacific Ocean, beyond 13,000 feet deep, where the pressure rises above 400 atmospheres, and the water temperature drops to 36 degrees Fahrenheit. This imagined horror is said to dwell. But what if the story holds some truth? Cthulhu is described as an immense being with a head resembling an octopus, its tentacles stretching more than 300 feet. The figure is covered in scales, with wings like those of a dragon rising from its back. Its face is a cluster of tendrils, and its eyes are said to shine with a threatening green glow. The creature was first introduced in H.P. Lovecraft's tale, The Call of Cthulhu, published in Weird Tales magazine in February of 1928. Legend claims that it lies dormant in the sunken city of Acheron, somewhere in the southern Pacific Ocean, near latitude 47 degrees 9 minutes south. But could something like this actually exist? To this day, people have explored less than 0.001% of the deep ocean floor, about the size of the state of Rhode Island. Marine experts estimate that the seas hold between 700,000 and 1 million species, with roughly 2/3 still unknown. Giant squids live between depths of about 1,000 to 3,000 feet, and only 8 adult colossal squids have ever been formally recorded. In April of 2025, cameras captured the first verified footage of a colossal squid at a depth of just under 2,000 feet. These waters lie within one of the least studied regions of the sea. So, could Cthulhu be real, while the monster itself is a fictional invention of Lovecraft? The truth remains that the deep ocean hides secrets we have not yet uncovered. With nearly all of the seafloor still unexplored, and with new species of giant cephalopods still being found even now, the possibility of unknown creatures dwelling in the abyss cannot be dismissed. If legends like Cthulhu blur myth and mystery, what about creatures we know once swam the seas, yet still spark modern sightings? One of the most intriguing creatures on this list is Gran Maha. This enormous sea monster only began appearing in online discussions a few years ago, yet it has already become the focus of countless theories and digital age folklore. Based on witness claims and concept art shared online, Gran Maha is said to stretch over 2,200 feet in length. Its head is massive, lined with rows of razor-sharp teeth, and marked by 6 small white eyes set along either side. It is rumored to dwell in the far reaches of the Arctic Ocean, hidden in the coldest, darkest depths. The first whispers of its existence surfaced when strange underwater sounds were recorded in the Arctic. While some dismissed them as shifting ice, others were convinced they had heard the call of something unknown. One of the most retold accounts involves an alleged deep-sea expedition that captured the shadow of a colossal form drifting past the camera lens. Does Gran Maha exist? There's no evidence in the scientific record, but our instinctive fear of the unknown, of deep ocean sounds and shadowy shapes, keeps this legend alive as one of the most haunting creations of the internet era. But not all sea dangers are new inventions of the internet. Some legends trace back centuries, only later softened for children's tales. Number 10 brings us to one of folklore's most enduring figures, the mermaid or siren. Many picture the softened storybook version, a beautiful woman with a shimmering tail, singing from a rock and longing for love. But the earliest legends were far darker. In Norse and Celtic seafaring traditions, mermaids were feared as dangerous beings who used their entrancing voices to lure sailors to doom. Their songs could pull ships off course, dash them against jagged rocks, and make entire crews vanish. In those days, they were called sirens. Far from the gentle image we know now, they were described with razor-sharp teeth, ghostly pale skin, long claws, and glowing eyes. Few realize that in the oldest myths, sirens had no fishtails at all. They were often depicted as half woman, half bird. Over centuries, this image blended with the sea maiden archetype, giving us the hybrid mermaid of today. Modern culture has largely softened their image, Disney's The Little Mermaid being a prime example. But some films have revisited their eerie origins, such as the horror feature The Siren, 2016, and the unsettling The Lighthouse, 2019. Do mermaids exist? Science says no. Yet sailor tales, unexplained vanishings, and strange footage from from beneath the waves keep the legend alive. But while sirens haunted the seas of old, some predators ruled waters far stranger and far deadlier. Another of the most astonishing creatures in our lineup is the Titanoboa. Picture a snake as long as 2 buses. This prehistoric predator could reach 50 feet in length and weigh more than a ton. It lived about 60 million years ago, shortly after the extinction of the dinosaurs, in the tropical swamps of what is now Colombia. In that environment, Titanoboa was not just another predator, it was the undisputed ruler. Scientists believe it fed on large fish, turtles, and possibly even juvenile crocodiles. It didn't kill with venom. It overpowered prey with such crushing force that a spine could be broken in moments. This massive serpent was only identified in 2009, when fossilized vertebrae, some as large as a human head, were unearthed in a coal mine. Today, a full reconstruction of its skeleton can be seen at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., and online. As with many extinct giants, theories about its survival still circulate. Did Titanoboa really exist? Yes, it was a living, breathing apex predator of the ancient swamps. And the most unsettling thought is that something like it could still be hiding deep in the Amazon. If the swamps of ancient Colombia could hide something so vast, imagine what could still be lurking in waters few have ever seen. Number 8 introduces us to Japan's ominous sea monk, Umi-bozu, a giant said to appear when a storm ends, but the calm that follows is more unsettling than the storm itself. Japanese fishing tales warn that if the water suddenly stills and a wall of fog rolls in, Umi-bozu may be near. Rising from the surface, enormous and without a face, he is often seen only as a dark silhouette. Some describe him with arms, others as nothing more than a massive head. Either way, he can sink a vessel with one movement. In some stories, if a sailor dares to speak, he will demand a bucket. Give him a regular one, and he'll use it to flood the ship. The only chance of survival is to hand him a bucket without a bottom, buying precious moments to get away. Accounts vary on his scale. Some say he's as tall as a mast, others as large as a mountain. Today, Umi-bozu still appears in anime, horror manga, and video games. His arrival always signals one thing: stillness with intent. Is he real? Science says no, but when the sea goes quiet and the air stands still, Japanese sailors remember the name Umi-bozu. Some mysteries are seen, others are only heard, and those sounds can shake our understanding of what might be below. Few ocean mysteries have stirred more speculation than the bloop. First, detected in 1997, it wasn't just an odd noise. It was, to many, a possible signal from a massive creature hidden far beneath the waves. The sound was so loud that underwater sensors over 3,000 miles apart recorded it. At first, scientists couldn't identify it. It didn't match any known animal call or human-made sound. Interestingly, its location was not far from the fictional site of Relié, the sunken city of Cthulhu, from H.P. Lovecraft's stories. That detail alone fueled endless theories. Was the bloop the awakening cry of something ancient and colossal? Official research now points to an icequake, the fracturing of a glacier deep underwater. Yet some cryptid enthusiasts and UFO researchers remain unconvinced, believing it could have been the voice of a creature beyond our imagination. Whether the bloop belongs to a living being or not, one thing is certain: it captured imaginations across the globe and reminded us that the ocean may still hold secrets we're not ready to face. From the vast sound of the bloop to the icy silence of the Antarctic, the ocean keeps its strangest shapes well hidden. Number 6 leads us to the icy legend of the Ningen, a figure that seems designed to live in the corners of our imagination. It is described as having a vast, white body, long limbs, and no discernible face, something that feels born from a dream set in the frozen emptiness of Antarctica. Reports began in Japan during the 2000s, when fishermen claimed to see human-like forms gliding beneath the ice. From there, the Ningen entered internet legend and online forums with descriptions of a creature up to 98 feet long, entirely white and humanoid in outline, but lacking a mouth, eyes, or any expression at all. The story took shape through articles in Japanese paranormal magazines, and some research vessel crews reported strange sightings. A single blurry photograph, said to show the Ningen, sparked a wave of online videos, theories, and mock documentaries. What makes the tale so compelling is the complete absence of proof. No remains, no DNA samples, no clear photographs, and yet, perhaps that's what gives it power. The creature is said to appear in the waters around Antarctica, a region still largely unknown. Is the Ningen real? Most likely not, but as a story, it continues continues to spread and unsettle, which may make it more enduring than truth itself. We've reached the halfway point. So far, which of these creatures would you least want to meet in the depths? Share your pick in the comments. Our next creature needs little introduction: the Megalodon, an ancient shark that could grow up to 60 feet in length. Its bite could crush a car, and its teeth were as large as a grown man's hand. If one swam close, you wouldn't hear a thing until it was far too late. Legends say it hunted whales, dolphins, and even rival sharks. Nothing in the ocean could challenge it. Fossilized teeth and pieces of its spine have been found on nearly every continent, from Europe to Australia, and especially along the coasts of the United States, Peru, and Japan. Some teeth are so well preserved they look almost new, which fuels the question, what if it's still alive? The name Megalodon literally means giant tooth, and it fits. A single tooth could measure up to 7 inches long. Today, the Megalodon is a pop culture staple, featured in films, games, and mock documentaries. Many still wonder if something vast and ancient hides in the deep. Did it really exist? Absolutely, and perhaps that's why it remains one of the most terrifying predators the ocean has ever known. Myths can span the whole planet, like the serpent that, if legends are true, already wraps around it. Next on our list is Jörmungandr, a sea serpent so massive that legends say he wraps around the entire earth and bites his own tail. In Norse legend, he's more than a monster. He's the son of Loki and sibling to Hel and Fenrir. He doesn't drift endlessly beneath the waves. He waits, because when he rises, it signals Ragnarok, the Norse end of the world. On that final day, he and Thor will face each other. Thor will strike the killing blow, but only manage 9 steps before collapsing from the serpent's venom. This tale didn't appear without reason. For centuries, coastal Norwegians spoke of massive serpents in the sea, and even into the 1800s, some Icelanders insisted they saw something, a serpent as long as a village. Today, Jörmungandr appears in games like God of War and Assassin's Creed, but in legend, he's more than a snake. He's an unstoppable force of ruin. Does he truly exist? Certainly not. Yet, the thought of something silently encircling us while we remain unaware, that's a kind of fear that feels far too real. But danger doesn't always come with a roar. Some say the ocean itself can swallow without a sound. Few speak of it openly, yet along certain coasts, fishermen still whisper the name sea eater. It comes without splash or warning. It simply appears. Descriptions tell of a massive, shadow-like shape with smooth skin, much like that of a seal, no eyes, just a vast, unbroken mouth that spans half its head. Some claim it's the length of a bus, others say far larger. The earliest accounts come from old seafaring tales in Scandinavia and the far north of Canada. Fishermen told of vessels that vanished on calm seas. No disturbance, no sound, just still water, and then nothing. The sea eater is not described as vengeful or frenzied. Instead, it rises beneath a boat, and in an instant, the vessel is gone, as though the ocean itself chose not to give it back. Today, the sea eater drifts on the edge of modern folklore, appearing in scattered fan theories, obscure forum threads, and small independent films. Almost no one claims to have truly seen it. Those who do rarely share more than the name. Is it real? Likely not. But the ocean holds regions so deep that light has never touched them, and if something waits there, it knows how to be patient. And where there's one lake monster, there's often another, though this next one lives thousands of miles from its famous cousin. Next comes perhaps the most famous of lake legends, the Loch Ness monster. Known affectionately as Nessie, it is said to dwell in the deep waters of Loch Ness in Scotland. Reports over the years describe a massive animal, up to 10 meters long, with a dark, leathery hide and a long, flexible neck, somewhere between a prehistoric reptile and a giant serpent. Witnesses have claimed its head resembles that of a snake or crocodile, and a few accounts even mention fins. The earliest recorded story dates back to the year 565, when Saint Columba, an Irish monk, reportedly confronted a large creature in a river feeding the loch. In 1933, the legend leapt into modern fame with the so-called surgeon's photo, an image that quickly became one of the most debated in history. Years later, it was revealed to be a hoax, but public fascination endured. Despite extensive searches and scientific expeditions, Nessie remains unproven. Does she exist? Each person must decide for themselves. But what's certain is that the legend continues to draw curiosity and mystery to Loch Ness. Scotland's Nessie may get the headlines, but Canada's own lake monster has stories just as strange. And finally, number 1 takes us to Canada's own Stone Lake legend, Ogopogo, a Canadian tale born from the deep waters of Lake Okanagan. Descriptions paint it as a long, serpent-shaped animal with smooth, dark skin, a small head shaped somewhat like a horse's, and a sinuous, curved body. Some accounts say it can stretch up to 49 feet in length. The origin of the story reaches back to the traditions of the Syilx people. In their belief, a spirit named Anha Ayetk lived within the lake and required offerings from travelers to ensure safe crossing. Over the years, the spirit's tale transformed into the modern legend of Ogopogo. The first widely reported sighting occurred in the early 1900s. In 1926, several witnesses claimed they saw a strange form moving in the water. Since then, reports have continued. Grainy photographs, unsteady video clips, and first-hand accounts. Ogopogo is often referred to as Canada's version of the Loch Ness monster. In the city of Kelowna, a playful statue of the creature stands by the shore, drawing curious visitors. Some think Ogopogo might be a massive fish or even a surviving relic from a prehistoric age. Scientists generally attribute sightings to waves, tricks of light, or drifting logs. Is Ogopogo real? There's no confirmed evidence, but perhaps one day someone will record something that leaves no room for doubt. The first is a creature from New Zealand's traditions, known as the Taniwha. This being belongs to Maori stories, passed down by a people whose lives have long been tied to the sea. Taniwha are said to be huge water-dwelling monsters, shaped like serpents, crocodiles, or creatures with fins and ridges. Some are seen as guardians, while others drag boats or travelers into the depths. Legends tell of them forming harbors, carving rivers, and watching over communities. One well-known account claims a Taniwha hollowed out Wellington Harbor to spare a tribe from drought. Even now, people near ocean caves or deep waters speak of immense shadows, unexplainable sounds, and vessels that vanish without trace. Do Taniwha exist? Scientifically, there is no evidence, no fossils or biological proof, yet they endure as more than fable. In Maori thought, Taniwha embody awe, danger, and the wildness of the sea. And perhaps, long ago, something real sparked these stories. If the Taniwha guarded seas and harbors, and one of them had many heads. Number 9. The Hydra. Remember the creature Hercules battled? The terrifying serpent with countless heads? That monster was the Hydra. It sounds like pure fantasy, but here's the catch. It's real. Not the towering nightmare of legend, though. In the tales of ancient Greece, the Hydra was a venomous serpent that lurked in the swamps of Lerna. If a hero severed one head, two would grow in its place, and its poisonous breath could kill anyone who came near. Hercules destroyed it as one of his 12 labors, a story the Greeks and Romans retold for centuries in art, sculpture, and even coins. They were clearly obsessed with this myth. But here's the modern twist. A real Hydra exists in our world today. It isn't massive or lethal, it's tiny, only about 10 millimeters long, roughly the size of a grain of rice. It lives underwater, snaring prey with its stinging tentacles. And scientists found something astonishing about it. In 2015, researchers tried repeatedly to kill the Hydra and failed. Every time, its cells regenerated, restoring it to perfect health. This miniature creature may never age, effectively living forever. So, while ancient myths imagined an immortal monster of chaos, the real world gave us something far more extraordinary, a creature that may hold the secret to eternal life. If the Hydra guarded the swamps of Greece, the next creature wrapped its coils around the entire world, and even the gods feared it. Number 8. Jörmungandr. In Norse mythology, Jörmungandr, often called the Midgard Serpent, is an enormous sea creature said to coil around the entire world, gripping its own tail. His name translates to the Great Beast, and legend claims his endless body traps humankind within the circle of the sea. Few beings, even among the gods, could rival his terror. Jörmungandr was one of Loki's 3 monstrous children, along with Hel and Fenrir. When the gods learned of them, they feared what chaos these offspring might unleash. Odin cast Jörmungandr into the ocean, believing he would sink and die. But instead, the serpent grew, feeding on the waters until his coils stretched across the earth. The gods dreaded his return, for prophecy said it would bring the world's final hour. During the cataclysm of Ragnarok, Thor meets the serpent in battle. He slays Jörmungandr, but the creature's venom seeps into his veins. After taking 9 final steps, Thor falls dead beside his foe. But perhaps this myth was not entirely born from imagination. Fossils of a massive prehistoric serpent known as Paleophis colossus a real sea snake that lived around 60 million years ago, have been discovered. It reached nearly 50 feet long, about the length of 2 school buses placed end to end. Ancient peoples who unearthed such bones may have believed they had found proof of the legendary Midgard Serpent. Even today, Jörmungandr's image endures in carvings, stories, and games, a timeless reminder of nature's might and the inescapable power of the sea. But not every sea monster came from myth. Some appeared in our own time, heard, not seen, and they shook the scientific world to its core. Number 7. The Bloop. In 1997, researchers detected an enormous, low-frequency sound deep in the Pacific Ocean. It was so powerful that sensors thousands of kilometers apart picked it up. The mysterious noise, dubbed the Bloop, sparked wild speculation that it came from a living creature of unimaginable size. To produce a sound that strong, it would have needed to be 100 times larger than a blue whale. This mystery gave rise to a modern legend, a colossal, unknown being hiding beneath the waves. But scientists eventually traced the source to massive icebergs breaking apart in the Antarctic Ocean. Still, the idea of an undiscovered giant lurking in the deep isn't impossible. Prehistoric seas once swarmed with enormous life forms, like Leadsichthys, a fish so vast that when it opened its 40,000-toothed mouth, it might have looked like the very monster people imagined when they first heard the Bloop. Some say the ocean made that noise itself, others think something else did. What's your theory on the Bloop? Comment down below before we move on. Number 6. Scylla. On one side, a deadly whirlpool, and on the other, a 6-headed monster. Could anyone survive such a passage? In Greek mythology, Scylla haunted a narrow sea channel that faced the whirlpool Charybdis. Any sailor who steered away from one would drift straight toward the other. There was no safe route, only a choice between 2 terrors. Scylla wasn't massive, but she was horrifying. 6 serpent-like necks rose from her body, each tipped with a gaping mouth, lined with teeth sharp enough to crush bone. Hidden inside her sea cave, she waited for ships to pass. When they came too near, she lunged with terrifying speed, snatching sailors from their decks one by one. Yet the myths say she wasn't always a monster. Once, she was a nymph loved by Poseidon, but his jealous wife, Amphitrite, cursed her, poisoning the waters where Scylla bathed and twisting her beauty into nightmare. Homer later placed her in a real location, the Strait near modern Messina, Italy. That stretch of water is known for violent currents and strange sea creatures. Ancient sailors could have glimpsed the tentacles of giant squid, the long shapes of oarfish, or shifting forms in the waves, and combined them into one terrifying image. In that sense, Scylla may not represent a single beast, but a memory pieced together from countless real encounters at sea. Scylla turned narrow seas into death traps. But far to the north, another legend hid in calm waters, one that refuses to die even today. By now, you've noticed how myth and reality keep colliding. So what happens when we reach the most chilling stories of all? Number 5. The Loch Ness Monster. For centuries, people in Scotland have sworn they've seen a massive creature lurking in Loch Ness, long-necked, shadowy, and shaped like something from another age. Despite sonar scans and underwater cameras, no one has ever proven it exists. Most scientists believe the sightings are a mix of hoaxes, illusions, and wishful thinking, but the idea isn't entirely impossible. Millions of years ago, a real animal like it did exist, the Plesiosaurus. It wasn't a dinosaur, but it lived during the same era, gliding through oceans with 4 paddle-like flippers and a neck as long as a giraffe's. For roughly 150 million years, it ruled the seas until it vanished during the Great Extinction. So, if the Plesiosaurus disappeared so long ago, why do people claim to see its shape in Loch Ness even today? The simplest answer is that someone, somewhere, once discovered a fossil, and from that fossil, a legend was born. If the Loch Ness Monster is a shadow of the past, the next beast might be that past refusing to stay buried. Number 4. Megalodon. Around 10 million years ago, one creature ruled the seas, the mighty Megalodon. It reached lengths of over 80 feet and weighed close to 140,000 pounds. Its jaws could crush steel, and each tooth was as large as a human hand. One bite could split a whale in 2. Nothing on Earth could rival it. Fossilized remains have been found across the world, from the coasts of Japan to the cliffs of Peru. So perfectly preserved, they almost seem fresh. That's why many people ask, what if it never really disappeared? In 2012, rescue Rescue teams reported a massive shape moving beneath their vessel, over 60 feet long, never identified. A decade later, researchers near Australia retrieved hundreds of shark teeth from the ocean floor, some belonging to species thought to have descended from the Megalodon itself. Scientists maintain it went extinct roughly 2 million years ago, but strange sightings still emerge. Could something ancient still hide in the depths? Movies often show the Megalodon as a larger great white shark, but that image isn't quite right. It was slower, longer, and built for power, not pursuit. It needed over 2,000 pounds of food every single day. Even a newborn Megalodon could feast on small dolphins with ease. So what ended its reign? Not a monster, but competition. The smaller, faster great white shark began stealing its food, and the giant faded into history. Yet, we've explored less than 1/5 of our oceans. If something that enormous wanted to stay hidden, it easily could. Maybe the king of the seas is gone, or maybe deep below it still waits. But monsters don't only haunt the tropics. Some dwell in ice, where the ocean meets silence, and the line between human and beast begins to blur. Number 3. The Ningen. In the early 2000s, a group of Japanese sailors reported something moving beneath the frozen waters near Antarctica. At first, they thought it was an iceberg breaking apart until it turned. They named it Ningen. Picture this, a creature with pale, almost translucent skin, long, drifting arms, and a shape disturbingly close to human. Some said it looked like a ghostly mermaid. Others described it as a pale giant gliding just beneath the surface, too smooth, too deliberate to be a trick of the light. Soon after, blurry photographs and grainy videos began spreading online. The images were eerie, white forms against the deep blue, vanishing the moment light hit them. Most were dismissed as hoaxes, reflections, or digital artifacts. But even so, the question lingered. Could something like the Ningen actually exist? Antarctica is one of the least explored places on Earth. Its waters are colder, deeper, and darker than almost anywhere else. If any environment could hide a creature that size, it would be there, beneath layers of ice thicker than skyscrapers are tall. Few humans ever go there, and those who do rarely stay long. It's the perfect hiding place. Scientists, intrigued by the reports, began searching for explanations. One theory points to an extinct aquatic sloth, known as Thalassocnus, a real animal that once lived along the coasts of Chile and Peru. It had long, powerful limbs made for swimming, and fossils show it evolved to spend nearly its entire life in the sea. Those fossil sites aren't far from Antarctica, suggesting its descendants could have drifted farther south than we ever realized. Another theory connects the Ningen to an ancient shark species, Aquilalamna, discovered only recently. Unlike any other shark, it had broad, wing-like fins, giving it a manta ray's silhouette. Fossil evidence places Aquilalamna at around 66 million years old, wiped out alongside the dinosaurs. But sharks are survivors. They've endured every extinction event Earth has faced. So what if one species never truly vanished? What if it adapted, evolving to thrive in the freezing black beneath Antarctic ice? To this day, no one knows for sure. Every sonar reading, every blurred image, every eyewitness account only adds to the mystery. Whether it's a remnant of the past or a trick of the mind, the Ningen remains one of the most chilling enigmas whispered about our oceans. It's not loud, it doesn't attack, it simply glides, watching, waiting, just below the ice. And if the Ningen is unsettling, the next legend is beyond comprehension. It's not a creature you fight, it's a force you survive. Number 2, the Sea Eater. This tale isn't just legend, it's a warning. The being called the Sea Eater is said to be among the largest and strangest creatures ever imagined, yet describing it is nearly impossible. It's too vast for words. Some claim it rises 5 kilometers high, spreads 4.5 kilometers wide, and stretches more than 25 kilometers in length, bigger than an entire city. Others say it's even greater. It dwells in the deepest parts of the ocean, far from ships and light. When it moves, the sea itself shifts around it. It doesn't roar, it doesn't chase, it simply consumes. Islands, vessels, even waves vanish in its path. That's how it earned its name, the Sea Eater. Witnesses say it brings a kind of fear that locks your body in place. Those who claim to have seen it describe feeling small, insignificant, like the ocean itself was watching them. Its body is covered in thick, rubber-like skin, smooth as a whale's, yet somehow the water passes through it, letting it move effortlessly. Ancient sailors told of men so stunned by its presence that they steered their ships straight into its open mouth, frozen between horror terror and awe, but the most terrifying part? Its arms. Two enormous limbs made not of flesh, but of bones, collected from the sea creatures it had crushed. Each one towers higher than a skyscraper. They can move at frightening speed, nearly 1,000 miles per hour, dragging the creature across the ocean floor, or reaching for prey above. Sightings are rare, but when they happen, they leave lasting scars. In 1927, a woman named Evelyn Mary was lying on the beach when she noticed something vast moving beneath the waves, a shifting mountain in the sea. As it drew closer, silent and unstoppable, she fled in terror. 3 years later, in 1930, a fisherman and his father were casting nets in the Pacific when a dark shadow rose beneath them. Before they could react, the creature surfaced and flipped their boat. Neither man was ever found. The most chilling story dates back to 1862, when the sea eater reportedly appeared off an unknown coast. The waves it stirred reached nearly 120 meters high. The tsunamis that followed flooded parts of the land for over 60 years. Some dismiss these tales as seafaring myths, but they appear again and again. Pirates spoke of serpents that swallowed the world. Religious writings warned of the Leviathan, a beast from the deep that punishes the wicked. Even ancient Egyptian carvings show a massive creature lurking beneath the waves, too immense to comprehend. So, where could it be now? Most reports come from the Pacific and Indian Oceans, rarely from the Atlantic. Those who claim to have seen it agree on one thing: its arrival is never good news. It never steps on land, and when it drifts into shallow water, its flesh seems to rot as if the light itself harms it. But if it ever found a way to survive on land, the consequences could be catastrophic. For now, the seas remain quiet, too quiet. Maybe it sleeps, maybe it watches, or maybe it's preparing to rise again. And yet, some horrors aren't made of flesh at all. The final legend isn't alive, it's a spirit born from everything humanity took from the sea. Number 1, the ghost whale. For centuries, whales were sacred in Japan, seen as gifts from the ocean, honored with prayers and ceremonial burials. But one whale was said to return not with blessings, but with vengeance. Its name was Bake-Kujira, the ghost whale, a glowing skeleton that appeared near villages to bring famine and fire. Why would such a creature, once beloved, become a curse? In the old days, fishermen used every part of a whale and prayed for its spirit to rest. But that reverence faded as greed replaced gratitude. When hunting turned into industry, the songs of whales were drowned by the roar of engines and harpoons. By the 1960s, nearly 3 million whales had been slaughtered. What was once harmony between humans and the sea became something darker. The ghost whale, legend says, isn't a monster. It's a reminder, a haunting echo of what happens when the balance between respect and greed is broken. During a violent storm near Japan's Oki Islands, local fishermen claimed they saw something rise from the sea, a vast skeletal shape glowing through the rain. They hurled their harpoons, but every weapon passed straight through it. The creature wasn't flesh, it was bone. When it disappeared, the village was struck by fire and disease. Some believe the ghost whale was born from human guilt, an echo of the ocean's anger. In Japanese belief, any being that dies unfairly or without proper respect can return as a restless spirit haunting the living. So perhaps this wasn't a simple legend, it was a message. Now, as our oceans warm and choke with pollution, the Bake-Kujira feels less like a ghost story and more like a warning. Maybe it's not haunting Japan anymore, maybe it's haunting all of us. But if the Bake-Kujira is a spirit born from guilt, what about the ones that never died at all? Some legends claim they're still alive, hiding in the darkest parts of the ocean, waiting to rise once more. The Kraken, a sea monster so feared that sailors once prepared their last words at the mere thought of it. This isn't simply a larger-than-average squid. In legend, it's a colossal being the size of a small island, with eyes like massive windows and tentacles strong as shipyard cranes. The Kraken comes from Norse folklore. Fishermen claimed that when the sea began to churn and bubble, you should flee immediately, because if you caught sight of it, your fate was already sealed. To those sailors, it was so real they marked its presence on nautical charts with warnings like, "Here be monsters." Here's the twist. Giant squids actually exist. The first confirmed footage only came in the early 2000s. Before that, all we had were torn remains, strange scars, and stories passed in fear. Today, the Kraken is everywhere. Films like Pirates of the Caribbean, games like God of War, even rum labels and music videos, because it still sparks unease. Is it real? Probably not, but with the ocean covering about 80% of our planet and most of it unexplored, perhaps the Kraken is simply waiting, While the Kraken may dominate Norse legend, some say an even greater monster hides far from any sailor's map. The next creature inspires wonder more than fear: the Plesiosaur. This was not a dinosaur, but a marine reptile, built with a wide torso, 4 strong flippers, and often an unusually long neck. Their size ranged from about 11 to 13 feet, on the small end to nearly 50 feet for the largest. Among the elasmosaurids, the neck alone stretched around 23 feet, made up of dozens of vertebrae, while their teeth were narrow, pointed, and interlocking, forming a comb-like trap for fish. Some fossils include gastroliths, or stones swallowed into the stomach, which helped with balance and grinding food. The story begins in the early 19th century. In 1823, fossil hunter Mary Anning uncovered an almost complete skeleton on the chalk cliffs of southern England, and plesiosaurs quickly became symbols of the great fossil discoveries of that era. Their remains have since been unearthed in Europe, North America, New Zealand, and the southern tip of South America, showing they once thrived in shallow seas across the world during the Mesozoic. Studies of their motion suggest plesiosaurs propelled themselves much like sea turtles, using all 4 flippers in a flying rhythm underwater. Their necks were flexible, but unlikely to bend upward like the curve of a swan. Hydrodynamic models estimate steady swimming speeds of about 5 to 9 miles per hour, fast enough to pursue fish and squid. Legends of plesiosaurs surviving into modern times continue to appear, often tied to tales of deep lakes and hidden waters. Yet, careful surveys of these sites have found no evidence of living specimens. Did the plesiosaur exist? Absolutely. It was a real creature of prehistory. Fossil skeletons are displayed in museums across the globe, and its structure and diet are known in detail through science. Plesiosaurs belonged to prehistory, but sailors later spoke of something alive in their own time, shadows with wings that seemed almost monstrous. The next creature that captured the imagination is the so-called devilfish. Sailors once spoke of a winged beast that could overturn vessels, though in truth, manta rays are calm filter feeders. Their wingspan can stretch from 23 to 26 feet, with a weight of up to 4,400 pounds. 2 forward lobes roll outward to channel plankton into the mouth. These rays gather at reef cleaning sites and underwater mountains, follow daily movement patterns, and are known to dive beyond 3,300 feet, where the temperature drops into the upper 30s Fahrenheit. That vast, shadowy form beneath ships likely gave rise to tales of menace. Science provides a clearer picture. Mantas possess one of the largest brain-to-body ratios among fishes. Their sight and ability to detect electric signals help them steer with precision and locate dense patches of zooplankton. They feed by filtering thousands of liters of water each hour through their gill rakers. Old stories of aggression do not hold. Manta rays lack a venomous barb and typically keep distance from humans. The leaps and spins, sometimes seen above the water, are tied to mating behavior and may serve social purposes. In warm seas across the globe, in places like the Maldives, Socorro, and Raja Ampat, divers regularly observe them circling cleaning stations where reef fish remove parasites. So did the giant manta ray exist? Yes, it is a living giant of the ocean, gentle, studied, and photographed in detail. Once feared as a legend, now recognized as one of the great wonders of the sea. What do you think? Were sailors really seeing monsters, or just giants of the natural world? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The best theories might end up in our next video. The next creature on the list is the mysterious Julia beast. The story began on March 1st, 1999, when NOAA hydrophones near Antarctica picked up a strange infrasonic signal lasting about 15 seconds. Calculations placed the source at a depth of roughly 11,500 feet. Despite the distance, the sound carried more than 3,000 meters through the water. Models estimated its intensity above 190 decibels, about as loud underwater as an entire fleet of ships. With no images to match the sound, speculation filled the gap. Online communities quickly nicknamed it the Julia Beast, picturing a monster nearly 250 feet long surging toward the Mariana Trench at 15 miles per hour. Years later, in 2008, oceanographers ran computer models of Antarctic icebergs and showed that a slab of ice about 11 square miles wide, scraping the continental shelf, could produce the same type of acoustic signal. Even so, only around 20% of the ocean floor has been mapped in high detail, leaving space for debate. Did the Julia Beast exist? The iceberg explanation is the most consistent with the evidence, yet the sound was captured only once, and no satellite photos from that day are available. Until stronger proof appears, a single unexplained noise and a few missing data points are enough to keep the legend alive on the internet. The Julia Beast left only a single recording, but fossils tell of another giant, a predator that once ruled with teeth and speed. The next creature is Basilosaurus. Old accounts speak of a sea giant that once ruled ancient waters. What kind of predator could this have been? Basilosaurus was a serpent-shaped whale with a long, narrow snout and jaws lined with sharp teeth. Its body stretched up to 66 feet and weighed close to 33,000 pounds. The teeth were conical, reaching about 3 inches in length, well suited for ripping flesh. The first fossils were uncovered in the United States in 1834. Early scholars mistook them for the bones of a massive marine reptile, which led to the name Basilosaurus, or king lizard. Later studies confirmed its true identity. Basilosaurus was a top predator during the Eocene epoch. Fossilized stomach contents revealed it fed on fish, sharks, and even smaller whales such as Dorodon. Full skeletons can be seen today in museums in Washington, Alabama, and Tokyo. In Egypt, an entire site known as Whale Valley uncovered hundreds of specimens. This was the first ancient whale whose diet was confirmed from preserved stomach remains. So did Basilosaurus exist? Yes, it was very real, a prehistoric whale whose structure and habits are thoroughly documented. Unlike legendary sea monsters, Basilosaurus left behind abundant fossil evidence displayed in museums around the world. Ancient whales vanished, but whispers of lake-dwelling giants remain. One, in North America, is said to still disturb the waters today. The next creature is Champ, the legendary resident of Lake Champlain, which lies between New York, Vermont, and the Canadian province of Quebec. Stories trace back to the Abenaki and Iroquois peoples who took of a massive serpent dwelling in the lake's depths. The first written account came in 1609, when French explorer Samuel de Champlain described a fish about 16 feet long with sharp teeth. Modern witnesses often claim Champ measures 20 to 30 feet, with a long neck, a small head, and dark green or brown skin. Some liken it to a plesiosaur, others to an enormous serpent. From a scientific perspective, the lake is home to Atlantic sturgeon, which can reach 15 feet in length and weigh more than 400 pounds. These fish may account for some sightings, yet across the last 2 centuries, more than 300 reports, including photos and video, have kept the legend alive. Champ is frequently called America's version of Nessie, and the parallels in eyewitness descriptions have made it one of the world's most recognized lake mysteries. So did Champ exist? Science has not uncovered solid proof. Still, with much of the lake unexplored and hundreds of eyewitness reports, the question remains, could something unknown still lurk beneath the surface? Lake mysteries are striking, yet some tales point even farther north, into ice-dark seas where a creature of impossible scale is said to stir. This next creature has appeared in one of our earlier videos, but the story felt unfinished. Gran Maha. Online accounts describe it as a polar giant that began circulating only in recent years. Reports claim a body over 2,000 feet long, with a saw-edged mouth and 6 pale eyes set along the sides of its head. Its supposed domain lies in the Arctic Ocean, in places like the Gackle Ridge, the Fram Strait, and deep basins dropping more than 13,000 feet. But where do these claims come from? First, unusual low-frequency noises recorded beneath sea ice, yet these can also be explained by pressure ridges breaking, ice quakes, or the vibrations of drifting icebergs. Second, shadowy shapes seen on under-ice camera footage. These often turn out to be ice keels, clouds of silt, schools of fish, or the outlines of extremely long siphonophores that drift like chains. Third, dense plumes from hydrothermal vents along the Gackle Ridge. On video, these moving particle clouds can give the illusion of a living mass. From a biological standpoint, a single creature measuring 2,000 feet challenges fundamental limits of oxygen flow, tissue strength, and metabolism. The largest whales reach just over 100 feet. For something 20 times larger to swim and make powerful sounds beneath ice sheets a kilometer thick, it would need adaptations beyond what biology allows. Supporters argue for a colonial theory, not a single being, but a super long colony like a siphonophore. The idea is visually striking, but remains unproven. So So did Gran Maha exist? No scientific evidence confirms it. The noises are consistent with ice and geology. The shapes fit optical tricks and drifting marine snow. Yet the Arctic's extreme cold, darkness, and rare expeditions, combined with the imagination of the internet, have turned this into one of the most haunting modern legends of the deep. This is the end of our video, and I need to ask a big favor. Comment your thoughts and tell us which monsters you'd like us to cover next. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Share this with a friend who loves mysteries, and don't forget to check out our other episodes. Your support helps us keep making more.